Assalamualaikum, Sheikh. We don't read the Quran from Mus'haf anymore. We use the device to read the Quran, tafsir, and etc. What do you say about this?
Can you repeat it? Sorry, I didn't.
So looks like this day we don't no longer read from Quran from Mus'haf, but more from online, and also not just Quran but also tafsir, and it's from all the digital media. What do you say about it? That's the first question. And the second one, maybe keep one because it's only
Inshallah,
2 minutes.
the most important thing, sisters, that you are reading it. You know how sisters at a certain time of the month, so sometimes they can't hold a mushaf. So the most important thing, Allah knows best, that as long as you're reading Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's book, whether the tafsir or a hadith, keep doing what you're doing, even if it's not from the Quran. Like personally, I like to read from the Quran because when I memorize, I only memorize, like I try to photograph my memory through where I memorize. So when I memorize from a certain Quran, when I read the Quran, I need to read the Quran for me personally. Because when I memorize, so I know where I'm at when I memorize, or if I forget. For example, if I forget, I know the third line down, this is the ayah, for example. So, wallahu alam, the best is, the most important thing that you do is you're reading the tafsir and you're understanding the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether it be just from a tafsir book, whether it be from your phone, whether it be from the Quran. The most important thing that you are reading the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are trying to understand it. Allah knows best.
Another one is short one. Basically, when we're traveling, we pray Qasr Salat, but when we are driving, maybe go far outside the city, how we pray inside the car. So we just determine the direction of the Qibla from the compass or whatever we can use and say the niyah maybe to the best of my knowledge for facing the Qibla. What's your comment on that?
My opinion is that inshallah, if we're traveling, it probably only take us 5-10 minutes to pray, not even 10 minutes. With Dhuhr and Asr at 2-2, that probably doesn't take us more than 5 minutes. So my advice to you is you actually stop. Stop in an area where you know it's safe for you to pray. Not like right in the middle of the parking lot or something. Go somewhere, far away in a parking lot where there's not much people. Then inshallah, nowadays we have no excuse to seeing where the Qibla is, right? We can go online and see Qibla app, and the Qibla is that way. So my advice is that when you're traveling, that you should, inshallah, get out of your car and actually, perform the 2 rakahs standing as to the best of your abilities. So it's best that I advise you to actually not sit in your car and pray. I know, unless it's a really, dangerous area or something. But if you know that you're able to get out of the car and pray, it will only take 5 or 10 minutes of your time. And inshallah, for me personally, that when I'm traveling, like I'm driving, for example, I usually drive from Washington State to California, and it's a 17-hour drive. So I personally like to stop when it's time for prayer, because that's when I get to refresh myself. I get out, I make wudu, and that's when I take my break, 15-20 minutes. So I advise you, if you're traveling somewhere, for example, if you're leaving before Dhuhr, and it takes you 5 hours to get to your destination, and you'll get there by Asr, then just continue until you get to your destination and pray Dhuhr and Asr together. But if you know that Asr is about to leave and it's about to enter Maghrib, then I advise you not to pray in your car, but to stop somewhere where it's safe, get out, make your wudu, 5-10 minutes, pray, and then you go on with your traveling, inshallah. Allah knows best. If it's public transportation, yes, if it's public transportation, if you're in this type of situation, then it is okay. You can sit there and, like for example, you're on the airplane. They don't have a place where you can pray or this and that. Then yes, Bismillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anywhere you face is the direction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if you're in this situation, you're in public transport, thank you, uncle, on the plane, but if you're driving in your car, you and your family is driving, then I personally advise you get out and you pray. But for example, you're traveling with non-Muslims, and I'm pretty sure even if you're driving and you're traveling with non-Muslims, they would understand, like, hey, can I get a 5-minute break? I need to pray. They will understand. But if you're like, for example, public transportation, airplane, then yes, you can sit there where you're at and pray and face the direction the bus is going. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
One of the brothers told me that when traveling with the non-Muslim, even the Muslim remind him
Yes.
to do this.
For me, when I was growing up and I played a lot of soccer, I used to travel on tournaments, different states. And the one thing that my mother, or the parent that I used to travel with, asked my mom, what is one thing that I need to do what are things that I need to do for your son? She's like, just wake my son up at 4 o'clock, at 12. My mom just reminded her that prayer time, that's it. So every morning this auntie, which is a non-Muslim, 4 o'clock she would set her alarm and would call me up to pray Fajr. Even non-Muslims will understand. If you have a friend, and if they're a true friend, they wouldn't mind stopping for you. But if you have a friend and they're like, dude, what's wrong with you? Then you have to, you have to check who your friends are. So Allah knows best. Yes,
Importance of Tarawih.
Importance of Tarawih.
Is it?
Do we have time? Tarawih is important. Or we can also call it Qiyamul Layl. Meaning anything you pray after Isha is considered Qiyamul Layl. But nowadays people, they think Tarawih is more important than the 5 daily fard. And that's not. The Prophet ﷺ, it's sunnah for us to pray Tarawih. It's recommended. But imagine, people, they don't pray their 5 daily prayers and they think that coming to pray Tarawih is mandatory. Like, we have to come pray. Even if we didn't pray Dhuhr, Maghrib, Isha, and
They come late for Isha to make Tarawih.
Say that again?
They come late for Isha to make Tarawih.
Yes, they come late for Isha to make Tarawih. We as Muslims, when we hear Tarawih, it's like, oh, we have to be at the masjid. And it's not wajib. No, it's not wajib. It's sunnah. But some people think it's aks, that Tarawih, as long as you pray Tarawih, you don't have to pray the 5 daily prayers. No, the 5 daily prayers are more important than Tarawih. Allah knows best.
Alright, I think also the time that that we need to stop now to let us use our last 5 minutes before Azan to make